In a hard-won victory, Ukrainian troops have recaptured a village in southeastern Ukraine as part of their new counteroffensive that began earlier this month. One Ukrainian official admitted their losses were, quote, colossal, but the British Defense Ministry estimates that Russia also suffered huge casualties, likely the highest since the peak of battle for Bakhmut in March. With us now to discuss, Michael McFaul, former U.S. ambassador to Russia and MSNBC international affairs analyst. His book is titled From Cold War to Hot Peace, an American ambassador in Putin's Russia. Ambassador McFaul, what do we need to know about this village and how this counteroffensive is going?
Well, the actual village is a very small village. Pyatki Katki means 5 houses, translated. So it's a small village. It's a victory. There have been several other villages that have been taken in the last 2 weeks. But I think the central message I have for everybody watching is wait, be patient. This is the beginning of a major counteroffensive that we will not know if it's been successful or not for weeks and probably months to come. And the second thing to remember is this is one counteroffensive. My prediction is there will be many counteroffensive before this tragic war is over.
To your point about us needing to wait, despite these heavy losses, are these small advances in fact a sign that the Ukrainian counteroffensive is working? What are you watching for?
I think it's working. I'm waiting for the heavy artillery, the heavier weapons, the brigades that were trained in the West to be deployed. To the best of my knowledge, and I want to be clear, we're all guessing, trying to figure out what's going on the battlefield. But to the best of my knowledge, that hasn't happened yet. And if you listen to Ukrainian officials, they're telling us to wait too. The biggest phase of this counteroffensive has not yet started.
Ambassador, I want to get your reaction to this report from the New York Times. It says that Vladimir Putin sought to assassinate an informant on U.S. soil back in 2020. One former CIA officer told the Times that for Putin, the red lines are, quote, all gone. What do you think?
It's completely outrageous. Yes, there used to be red lines. Even in the Cold War, there were red lines. Even when I was ambassador a decade ago in Moscow, there were red lines about things we did to each other. Putin then crossed one of them, remember, back in 2018, when he tried to kill another alleged intelligence informant. I want to emphasize the adverb alleged. I don't adjective. Let's be clear. We don't know exactly. But Sergei Skripal was one of them in the UK. They tried to kill him. And I was part of a spy swap that let him out back in 2010. And it was, I think it was agreed by us all back in 2010. We're not going to attack these people. He did it in 2018. And now he's up the ante doing against another informant, this time on the United States of American soil. It is completely outrageous. I hope there will be a commensurate response.
Other big news today, Secretary Blinken meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Would you consider this meeting a success? And do you think it could open the door to talks between Xi and President Biden?
Yes, I do. You cannot have relations between two great powers, two competitive powers, with all the kind of complicating relationships we have between China and the United States, and not have senior officials talking. This is Secretary Blinken's first trip to China, 2.5 years in, and now he has reopened the channels of communications at the highest levels. I think that sets the predicate for a Xi-Biden meeting here in San Francisco during the APEC summit in November.
Ambassador, let's tie these two stories together. We began by talking about Russia and Ukraine. We're now talking about Secretary Blinken's meeting with Xi Jinping. Interesting to me that the secretary urged China to remain, quote, vigilant about private firms that may supply Russia with technology it can then use against Ukraine. We should note that there is no evidence China has provided lethal aid to Russia. The possibility looms large enough as to warrant a warning. Your thoughts on how the U.S. navigates this?
I think they've done it very exceptionally well. Remember back in March, there was already commentary about maybe this was happening. I think sometimes we think of the Chinese state as being completely in control of everything. I do not think that that is the case. And Secretary Blinken chose his words very carefully today, right? He says a private company might be providing this. We want you to stop it. And I'm impressed so far, not what the Chinese have given Vladimir Putin, but what they haven't given him. I think that that's a success for American diplomacy, and they need to keep working it to make sure that it doesn't happen in the future.